One woman dies at the hands of her partner every week in Australia, and countless more are forced to flee their homes to escape domestic violence. Many of these women end up in shelters and face an uncertain future as they're forced to rebuild their lives. Women's community shelters house hundreds of these women every night, and they're working to end the scourge of domestic violence by educating young people about violence against women through their Walk the Talk program. Walk the Talk founder Danielle Miller joins us now, along with student volunteer Emmerich Agahari. Thank you both for joining us.
Our pleasure.
Danielle, I'm going to start with you, but I'm going to get to you. You are not off the hook there, Emmerich. In your role with women's community shelters, as we said, you house hundreds of women every night in Australia. You would see firsthand these women and children escaping domestic violence and turning up at these shelters with nowhere else to go. These shelters are really vital. Women would have nowhere to go without them, would they?
They're literally life-changing. So often if a woman doesn't feel that she has anywhere to go, she'll stay in a violent, unsafe home, or she'll leave and perhaps sleep in a car or couch surf with friends. The sad thing is that we just don't have enough bed nights. So quite often, you know, we're facing this awful choice of having 2 or 3 women who want the one available bed that we've got. But what we do know is that when you provide this safe shelter and these wraparound services of support, you can make a huge difference, and women can go on to lead independent lives free from violence.
I know that your view, though, at women's community shelters is you'd prefer to be redundant.
Yes.
You'd prefer that women and children don't need your service, that domestic violence would become a thing of the past, and doing that through education and intervention. And that's what the Walk the Talk program is about, which we're going to hear a bit more about. You're going to tell us your role in that too, Emmerich. But tell us, how does Walk the Talk work?
Yeah, look, my background was in high school teaching, and one of the things that I know about young people is that they don't learn through being lectured or shamed. And I also know that if we want to really do something other than just talk about this huge issue, domestic violence, we need to make some practical changes, some community-based changes. So the goal is to go into high schools, to spend a day training young people and talking to them about respectful relationships and about gender stereotypes and about how they can be change makers in their community. And we then partner them with their local women's refuge. And throughout the course of the year, they get to assist that refuge in their work, and they might do things like fundraising, volunteering at events, community awareness raising. And this is really powerful stuff, because it takes that learning about domestic violence away from just the head and perhaps even the heart, but applies it to the hand. And as an educator, I know that you never really understand if someone's learnt something until they get a chance to practically apply that knowledge, and that's what we're giving them an opportunity to do.
And Emmerich, you're a part of that there on the front line. What inspired you to get involved with Walk the Talk?
Well, my school's really involved with domestic violence, and we get educated about it at school. But what inspired me personally was to know that learning about domestic violence, how it is a real issue, because it sounds naive, but I kind of thought of domestic violence as being something hypothetical. And it was really inspiring to learn how it is a real situation and a real problem that happens in my local community, so yeah. How
have your views changed about domestic violence then, since you've been involved with the shelters?
So like I said, yeah, me thinking it was hypothetical, I've now seen it as a reality. And also, I've learnt about what it means to be a true man. So I was taught about true masculinity, and how a strong man doesn't just show his strength through his physical attributes, but also through his emotional, his mental strength, and also he should be able to protect others and stand up for what's right.
Do you think that it would help change the rates of domestic violence if young men around your age, the next generation of young men, got a handle on their role?
Yeah, of course. I actually saw it firsthand at my school, like after our projects and our workshops. Just the environment of the school really changed. Like my male student friends, there was a real change in how we viewed the girls at our school. So yeah.
Danielle, that must be music to your ears.
It's
Hearing
wonderful.
That. I know you see it firsthand.
Yeah.
What have you noticed in the changing attitudes of the young people that you're teaching there about their attitudes to women and to domestic violence?
Yeah. So in the young men, I think what has been really amazing has been how they have embraced the opportunity to be part of something powerful in this agenda. So often we all read the newspapers and we hear that a woman dies every week and we feel powerless, and young boys do as well. And let's not forget that a lot of young boys are in homes where there is domestic violence and they can't necessarily physically stand up to the male in their house that's perpetrating that. So for them to now feel that they can reclaim their power, be part of a positive difference, has been amazing, and gives them a sense too of what it's like to contribute back to community and be a change maker. For the girls involved and volunteering and participating, it's been amazing because sometimes they also question their own relationships, their own teen relationships, and they'll say to me, look, I've realised from doing this, you know, my boyfriend, he's probably a little controlling at times, and he and I need to talk a bit more about that, or I shouldn't be so complacent about some of the things he says to me and perhaps brush them away because, you know, these could be things that can snowball. So it's powerful when you get young people to question their relationships, question their own role within community as change makers, and also question their capacity to do something that feels huge. You know, shaping issues around domestic violence feels huge, but it starts small, it starts local, it starts in schools, it starts in communities.
And I know it's not just the learning, but you're quite practical as well. You're actually told to adopt a refuge, and you've been involved in that. Emmerich, what kind of things have you done with the refuge you're involved with?
So we work with the Haven, which is in the Nepean. Our first project was an Easter egg project, so we created small bundles of Easter eggs and we sold them to the school community. That was extremely successful, so our follow-up project was Awareness Week, which was recent. It was only about 2 weeks ago, where we did a whole range of activities throughout the school and throughout the week, raising awareness and funds for the Haven. So that involved the bake sale. So not only did the girls bake, but also the boys. So we rolled up our sleeves.
That's it. They've got to walk the talk, right?
Yeah, and we also had an colouring competition and teacher versus student handball competition. So just a whole different variety of different activities so that we could get the most involvement within our school community.
Oh, it sounds like an absolutely wonderful program, life-changing for the next generation. We do thank you both for coming in tonight.
Pleasure.
No worries.